Hey guys, welcome to Deepwater Legends. Thank you for tuning in. Tonight we have two special guests from SeaKeeper and SeaKeeper Ride. They both are conveniently named Tyler, so hope you don't get confused. Welcome to the show, Tylers. We're happy to have you and to hear about your awesome product. I've ridden on a ton of boats with SeaKeepers. They've all been tremendous. And we're super pumped to have you on the show. I met you guys a couple weeks ago at the South Carolina Mahi tournament, and I was happy to connect and even happier to have you on here tonight. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for
Yeah.
having me.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Troy.
No problem. If you guys don't mind just doing a quick introduction on which one of you guys is Seakeeper Ride, which one is Seakeeper, and then we'll jump right in.
Jump in here first. Yeah, my name's Tyler Mosner. As Nathan mentioned, I cover the gyro side of our business, specifically on the OEM team. So if you're looking for a new boat or a new build, you have questions about which boat or which model comes with a Seakeeper, how that integration or design, what that really looks like from a factory perspective. Please feel free to reach out. So, really, any builder from Maine down to Georgia over to the Midwest, kind of pretty much everything besides Florida. So, if there's a boat builder within that region, I'm very specific with Seakeeper integration specifically. Can talk you through everything from sales, after sales, warranty, service, kind of connect you with the right platform for your application. You can reach me at tmosner, Mosner, at seakeeper.com or by cell phone 240-808-5955.
Yeah, and so I'm the other Tyler with SeaKeeper. I'm on the SeaKeeper Ride side. I'm the aftermarket sales representative in the Southeast, so in the Carolinas. I've got the Carolinas and Georgia. So any boats that are not OEM coming from the factory, we are refitting them with SeaKeeper Ride systems, taking the old trim tabs off and refitting those. And my email is tcausey, Causey at seakeeper.com. And my number is 240-606-1754. More than happy to help with any type of Seakeeper ride. Questions, concerns, potential refits, anything, give me a call, shoot an email, always open.
Well, thank you again, guys, for coming in, and thank all of you guys for tuning into Deepwater Legends. We have one heck of a show for you tonight. These gentlemen are experts at this stuff, and when I was talking to them, they had a lot of surprising facts that I didn't know. Even being on a bunch of boats with Seakeepers, I was very unfamiliar with Seakeeper Ride specifically, and one of the things was how affordable it was how not labor intensive it was to install on your boat. And it really shocked me. Before we dig in, I want to put a thank you to Magic Tail Outfitters. You guys make the best rods and tackle in the game. If you don't already have Magic Tail Outfitter, Who Magics, or Joe Shoot Lures, I highly recommend them. These things slay. Their fishing rods are the best. Make sure to like and subscribe. So let's cut in and get deep with some Seakeeper. So the Seakeeper ride. I was talking to you the other day at the Mahi tournament, and you were telling us like this is the price point it starts, and I just couldn't believe it. Like in my mind, when I'm hearing Seakeeper, I'm thinking like, oh, these are only super exclusive, very expensive. And when you told me the price, I just absolutely couldn't believe it and the value that it adds to the boats and much smaller boats than you'd put a traditional Seakeeper in per se. At least in my viewpoint from what I know. And then I talked to you about Seakeepers, the traditional ones, and I was like, wow, they make these for other boats also. Like this is incredible. You don't need a 55-foot Viking for one of these things. They're putting them into a lot of center console boats. They're getting them down in price and making them a lot more affordable and available for the regular boater out there. And it's incredible because if you've ever been on a boat that had a Seakeeper, you know it's like nothing else. Like, I mean, you get on there and you're like, "Oh my gosh, like this is a game changer here. We can go out in weather that we could never go out in before." Tyler from SeaKeeper Ride, do you mind telling us like what's like the starting point for these? What are some of the features and what are the benefits of doing it? I know a lot of people aren't used to seeing SeaKeeper Ride. I know you guys are fairly new to the market, and what are some of the benefits and facts about it that these folks can learn about?
Yeah, so Seakeeper Ride system, we're starting at $4,500. That's the 450 system. 19 foot and above, that 19 to 26 foot boat, that's where that 450 system is specialized. getting in there at $4,500 for the system itself, not including installation. We have lots of local dealers, all the way through the Carolinas, all the way through the Southeast, that are more than happy to do installs. They've done many of them. So we're picking up pretty heavily there. It's a newer product, so it's been on the market for just over 2 years or so, and we've caught traction fairly quickly, and it's something that Tyler and I can both attest to, as we are able to use the product on a daily basis. As one of my best friends has a 32 container with SeaKeeper Ride on it. He specifically has the 600 system on it, and that system is 30 to 36 foot. Recently, we've had the 450 all the way up to the 750 that claims 19 to 42 foot boats. And just recently, within the last couple of weeks, we've launched systems all the way up to that 1500 size. So we are now able to work in boats up to about 55 feet, starting to enter into that sport fish market and open up a whole new line of boats, whole new line of fishing. So really excited about that. Overall, the system itself, it's not a trim tab, it's a vessel attitude control system. So that's the biggest difference there. We're taking 1,000 calculations a second, making 100 adjustments a second to basically keep your boat on that center line, riding as level as possible, as smooth as possible, and make your life on the water that much easier.
That's incredible. I can't believe the cost of that.
Yeah, $4,500. That blew my mind when you told me that. Also, when you were talking about the installation process, how it's pretty seamless that anyone can go do it. You just pop the old trim tabs off, and I don't want to call it a trim tab because you just described it so well, but you put that right on, and it seems like a very simple, installation process. Could you tell our listeners a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Super simple system. Installation process. We've got our software module that's going to go in the helm of the boat. That's what's actually taking your readings and calculations and measurements there. We've got a distribution module that is mounted somewhere near the bilge that's connecting to your two controllers in the back as well as power. And then we've got your controllers, which is what's actually doing the work that's mounted on the back of your boat. Which are replacing your trim tabs. So basically what will happen is those old tabs will come off your boat. You will grind down to the fiberglass and use an adhesive such as a Plexus, a Shy Grip, a System 610, or other approved adhesive that we have on our website. They're actually adhered to the back of the boat. They're not through bolted, anything like that. Kind of spreads out the, I guess the strength that the force that the water is putting on that system kind of spreads out that force, making things not concise. So where you have two or three through bolts into the hole. So make it a little more easy on the boat there.
That's incredible. And then other Seakeeper Tyler. So, how do these systems compare, and what size boats do you guys make the traditional Seakeeper that everyone usually thinks of when they're thinking of like a gyro in a boat? What size boats do you guys have those systems for? Because you guys also have a large range of products as well.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think it's something that we continually try to educate the customer base on. It still surprises me. The Seakeeper One has been out since 2022, so give or take, 3 or 4 years now. When we first came to market, in the early 2000s, we were doing some R&D. 2003, and then 4 or 5 years later, we came to market with the first unit. So when we first came to market, I think traditionally a lot of people are familiar with Seakeepers in the larger size, just as you had mentioned, right? In the sport fish market, and that 50 to mid 60s range was really the core market when we first started. Believe it or not, it's a lot easier to make Seakeeper gyros larger to scale them up. But we specifically wanted to target the recreational center console markets. All of our, R&D and design engineering work from that point on was kind of making everything smaller. It's a lot easier said than done. So we finally came out with the Seakeeper 1 in 22. And that's really, production wise, you'll see anywhere from 25 to 26 foot boat, brand new on the OEM side. You'll see you'll see that in a production setting. Really, there is no minimum cap on boat sizing when you get down. It's just available room, right? I think as everyone that's been on a boat, we all know that there's 6 gallons of stuff in a 5 gallon bucket, and we're trying to fight over room. But if you have the room and structurally, the application is approved. We've done pretty small, but 21, 22-foot center consoles for the right application. But generally speaking, I would say main production anywhere from a 25 to 26-foot boat is what you're going to see. And, there really is a customer base for that. I think we're starting to see that. Go to all the major boat shows, all the regional boat shows. We attend, a lot of different events, and it still surprises me that I'm familiar with it because I deal with them every day. But the general customer base is, I can't believe how small they've gotten over the years. And, the price point, as you mentioned, it follows, has decreased as well. So SeaKeeper 1, $16,900, so just shy of 17,000 plus installation. I think, a good option cost, anywhere from 25 to $30,000 is what you'll see on a new boat. So it's very in line with, say, a pair of MFDs and a good transducer. Right? We're trying to be within that ballpark of option costs when you look at a new boat purchase.
I was really surprised to see that you guys also offer an on-deck version of Seakeeper as well. So if your boat is lacking like the traditional space to really stuff one of these babies down in, these guys got you covered still. So you
Yeah,
really have no excuse for a poor riding boat.
yeah.
Um,
I would
so
say 90% of, maybe not, maybe 75%, just rough ballpark, is the Seakeeper One is deck mounted in most applications. So right underneath the helm seat, traditionally where you might have a cooler or some tackle storage, and or down in the head space. There's a lot of heads on 26, 28-foot boats that don't get used, and it's a perfect place for us to kind of stick it down in there, on a deck mount application.
So it's fair to say a lot of these new boat builders are building their boats specifically around the Seakeeper. Like they're like, we know people want them. We know it's going to be installed. Let's make this space as usable as possible and get this thing tucked away. Because aside from like putting a big cooler or something under a seat, like that's a perfect spot right in a central location to really keep it better. Now, have you guys noticed any kind of improvements, whether it's deck mounted or below deck? Like, does it play a factor in like what size or anything that you have to go with?
Yeah, it's another really good question. Something we get asked all the time. There is no difference in performance, when we're talking about such minimal distances between a deck to a stringer application, being 2-3 feet at the most 3 feet. In a smaller, there's no performance, that you're giving up there, sacrificing. So in all honesty, in terms of serviceability and accessibility to the unit, and decrease installation costs, the deck mount application is most likely preferred in SeaKeeper One application.
So, what's the biggest distinguishing factor if someone should go with a Seakeeper Ride or a Seakeeper One or one of the other options? If you guys have such a large scope of both these products to be able to fit in both size boats, what would really be the one, or is there an option to have both?
Yeah, we definitely have an option to have both. The systems complement each other extremely well. We like to say the ride gets you there and the gyro keeps you there. As one is really effective in that sitting still, the 10 mile an hour range, and one becomes really effective after that 10 mile an hour range. So, two vastly different products under one company that benefit your boat in two different ways, that are both equally as effective for your boat and for what you're doing. But it also does depend greatly on what you use your boat for and what kind of runs you're making, whether you're bottom fishing, whether you're trolling, whether you're making those 70-mile runs or you're just hanging out at the sandbar. So a lot of it depends on the customer.
Yeah, I think the pile on there, that's well said. And um, it's a continuous education that Tyler and I felt like this would be a great opportunity to kind of get on here together and clear the air on the differences. And like you mentioned, two completely different products. Ideally, the SeaKeeper Ride and the gyro aren't in direct communication, as they both serve their own purpose on the boat, through different speed ranges. But technically speaking, the gyro is most effective from 0 to 10 miles an hour. You're going to see a majority of your roll reduction within that speed range. Not to be said that there isn't benefits at certain speed ranges, in certain sea conditions, say you're troughing a beam 2C, right? But primarily, the gyro is focused 0 to 10 miles an hour, and then the SeaKeeper Ride system will pick up after that. Just as if, your trim tabs would offer no benefit at 0 miles an hour, SeaKeeper Ride system and gyro complement each other.
So with the Seakeeper Ride, can you adjust them with traditional buttons like you would a trim tab to like kind of adjust your steering and your yaw, like when you're like going for these long runs out to like the canyons or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. However, you can add bias to the system to optimize your running angle of the boat. So if you want to heel the boat a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, port, starboard, depending on beam seas, falling seas, whatever you may have, you have the ability to do that through your MFDs that are compatible with the system, or through your control pad, which basically takes place of that old trim tab keypad. You'll have 4 arrows on it. That top arrow you can press, and it'll actually deploy the tabs, not the tabs, the vessel attitude control system, to actually um, you know keep that bow down, so you can cut through those head seas a little bit better versus those situations where you want that bow to ride a little bit higher in a falling sea so you don't stuff it. So there is full customer control there.
That's awesome. And with the traditional Seakeeper, I know one of the questions I would have is if you get into a situation you're deep dropping, you have a traditional gyro Seakeeper on your boat, is it going to affect your trolling motor at all? Are you going to have a harder time keeping it steady and so forth with it turned on?
Yeah, that's a question again we get a lot. I think that there is a misconception that there's sort of external factors of the gyroscope coming out of your hull. Traditionally, if you think of stabilizers, you think of appendages or fins that come out. Everything is self-contained in the hull, right? So we're just utilizing gyroscopic torque. All we're utilizing is the speed of the flywheel. So a combination of the weight, heavy steel flywheel, and the high rate of speed, anywhere from 9,700 RPM, creates gyroscopic torque. And we can offset that boat roll by precessing the sphere. The rate of precession, how fast we move that sphere on its gimbaled axis, is going to depend on the sea state. So, circle back to your question there, I think it is not going to alter your drift speed or, say, your trolling angle direction. All we're doing is reacting to a port side or starboard side list or angle and correcting that. That being said, you're going to heave over the waves. So, in my experience on a spot lock application, I think it works substantially better with the SeaKeeper gyro, because you're not getting that roll angle where the head of the trolling motor pops out. And a lot of situations you get GPS lost and the motor shuts itself off and you got to reset. So we're really keeping that trolling motor in place under the swell. We're heaving over the wave as the wave pushes the boat up and down.
So, are there any kind of boats that come to mind that aren't able to have a Seakeeper, whether a ride or a traditional Seakeeper, or aside from size and space to put the Seakeeper, pretty much every boat can have it.
Yeah, that's correct. I'd say the number one factor we're always fighting is available space. I would say the most difficult application within hull types is going to be catamarans, and you would think because catamarans are naturally more stable, that it would be easier, or it would require less Seakeeper gyro for us to stabilize, but it's actually quite the opposite. And to not get too technical, the roll angle of a monohull is much quicker and snappier than a catamaran, right? A catamaran's a much slower, heavier roll angle. So we actually need more gyroscopic torque to offset that heavy, slow roll angle. And that becomes somewhat of a space issue when you consider, all right, let's just use a 29-foot catamaran, for example, right? Traditionally, this would take a Seakeeper 1 in a monohull or V-hull configuration. But now that we've stepped up to a catamaran, we need somewhere like 1.5 to 2x the gyro to stabilize. So now we need to make room on a 29-foot boat for a Seakeeper 2 that traditionally would be on, anywhere from a 31 to a 34-foot boat, right? So that's real not, and that's not to say we've done, our fair share of catamarans. And that kind of brings up, the next setup, which is multi Seakeeper unit configurations, right? So a lot of times we'll have the available room in those tunes or in those sponsons on each side of the hull. So we can do one starboard side, one port side, and we can do two Seakeeper 1s to equal SeaKeeper 2 rather than just a single unit if that's what the available space requires. But yeah, great question. I would say other than that, there's really not much we can't do. We've done cold molded, everything from cold molded to full wooden stringer boats to aluminum. You name it, we'll find a way. We get pretty creative.
And does age play any issue in it? Boats of all age can have it as well.
Yeah, certainly. We've done a lot of restoration boats. We've done, boats from the 70s, 80s. That, obviously there's a fair amount of structural considerations when you go to install a Seakeeper that we have our minimum requirements on, lamination schedules and sort of structural requirements from a stringer standpoint and with the stringers. But that being said, our dealer network they all go to training down in Tampa, Florida. We take installation very seriously. It's not something that we'll ever ship directly to a customer or to a dealer that is not certified or trained by us. So they'll go down to our Tampa training facility. They go through a pretty extensive not only service but installation class where we review the requirements for that installation. And then a lot of times, our dealers will, if they're a high quality or high quantity dealer doing a lot of installs, they'll have a naval architect that they sub out for a lot of applications. But if from the factory, if you're getting a relatively new boat and we know the lamination schedule, it's relatively plug and play.
Are there maintenance intervals on both systems? I'm curious. Do I got to get special oil or anything?
Yeah, I mean, on the ride side of things, just to jump back to Nathan's question real quick, we are not currently compatible with catamarans yet. Multi-hull boats, we are not on yet. Keyword yet. So the technology is a little bit different there, as Tyler kind of explained. Stability differences there versus monohull versus a multi-hull or catamaran boat. But other than that, pretty much good to go. Do get a lot of questions about trim tab pockets. So you got your other Linkos or other brand trim tabs on there. Yes, we can still do that. Those pockets will need to be filled though. We've got multiple different ways to do that. That's something you can contact me about if needed. But as for maintenance too, the ride system is fully electronic, so no hydraulic fluids, none of that. Don't have to worry about any of that there. Our actuator, everything is sealed off in there. So really the only maintenance we have on the ride system are two zincs on each side of the controllers. And those can be changed somewhere in that 6 months to a year. We'd like to say when you do that 100-hour service for your motors, that's about the time you can change your zincs, depending on if you leave the boat in the water or if you have it on a lift or on a trailer.
And are the SeaKeeper rides dealer install only, or is that something someone can tackle at their house?
We
Not
like to
saying
say
just
it's
anybody, but like if you
yeah,
have
yeah,
somebody that's like really capable, like
yeah.
are they able to tackle it, or is it something that's like, hey, you want to take your boat to this dealer location, they'll install it for you, and you'll be
We highly recommend customers to take it to their dealer and have the dealers install it. Not to be said it can't be done, but we do highly recommend just because dealers have gone through extensive training through our online course. Most of the time, had training through our FTRs. Our installers would go out there, help them, show them tips, tricks, pointers. So the last thing you want is a install that's not 100% correct that causes the boat to list or lean to one side or the other. At the end of the day, you want a perfect install to allow your boat to ride that much better.
Absolutely. And then how are the service intervals with the traditional Seakeeper, like the gyro? I know you guys are vacuum sealed and
Yeah.
it's got a lot of scary words to it, but I've had a lot of experience with the systems. They actually didn't require as much as I thought that they would. I know reading the pamphlet, it's like, oh my goodness, like what kind of spacecraft technology am I putting in here?
Yeah.
Can you walk us through like, hey, someone gets this on their boat, this is what we recommend and this is how it's done?
Sure. Yeah, there's certainly some components at play. Obviously, to reach these high RPM speeds and create this gyroscopic torque, we do need a factor of technology in here. And the good news is the expensive components, the bearings, the drive motors, the flywheel, they are, as you mentioned, vacuum sealed, right? So the benefit to that is keeping it out of that saltwater environment, right? It's a perfect atmosphere within sphere, all the errors removed. It not only helps with cutting down on service of the major components, but it also cuts our power consumption by 2/3, right? So you think on a 12-volt system, you're spinning a call it a 300-pound flywheel at 9,700 RPM. It would require a lot of DC voltage, but because it's vacuum sealed, we're only requiring anywhere from 12 to 15 amps when it's fully spooled up. So that always surprises everyone, and I think that's an important factor to note, that a lot of people feel that they're limited because they don't have, say, a genset or access to shore power. But in reality, SeaKeeper 1, SeaKeeper 2, they're very power efficient. Circling back to the service aspect here, as Tyler mentioned, we also do utilize zincs in our heat exchanger. So we're picking up raw water through a dedicated seacock or water pickup. We're running that raw water through a glycol heat exchanger. So on certain units, the larger units, we do require a zinc change, and that's obviously just as needed. Your annual service or your 1,000-hour service, whichever comes first, is going to just be an inspection. This inspection is just looking over mounting hardware, connection points, fluid levels, or glycol fluid levels. So really, the annual service, the 1,000-hour service, we have just revised, I would say within the past 6 or 7 months, to just include inspections. That being said, if you are a SeaKeeper owner and you're on a yearly inspection service or a brake fluid service, there's certainly nothing wrong with replacing or changing fluids out, but it's just not a requirement to keep the warranty, if you will. The first major, I would say, service is going to be at 2,000 hours. And at that point, depending on the unit, there's a few things that we check, and fluid checks or fluid replacements, glycol flushes. But other than that, there's really no major service as you would think traditionally of a motor or an outboard. Really, the first annual service is just an inspection. I think when we first released our product, of course, we're being very cautious. We're going forward with the best sort of warranty or service requirements that we want to until we get data on these units to say, all right, well, how long is brake fluid lasting? How long is glycol fluid lasting in these units? And now that we've been around, have 30,000 units in the field, we can kind of pinpoint exactly what intervals this service is required. And ultimately, we're looking to cut down on cost of ownership for SeaKeeper gyro owners. But all that's listed on our website. You can kind of break that down by specific units and see what the annual service estimates would be.
That's incredible. So you pretty much both of these units just set it and forget it. So what kind of warranties come with these units? Of course, I'm sure they have to be installed by a dealer and maintained properly. What kind of warranties does Seakeeper offer on both systems?
So the gyro is going to be straight out of the box with no extended warranties. It's going to be a 2-year or 2,000 hour, and that's whichever comes first. For the applications, it's 2 years. It's pretty rare that we see
Yeah, if you're
2,000
putting
hours on a
2,000
recreational
hours
boat.
on in 2 years, call me. I want to come fishing with you.
Yeah.
Like, that's some serious time.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. But we do a fair amount of commercial and defense work as well. So you'd be surprised how fast some of those guys rack up hours. We actually just did Charleston Harbor Pilot's boat right here in the harbor. So pilot boats that go up to the side of the ships and board and deboard, and I think they got the boat maybe within the past 3 weeks, and I went on the boat the other day and there was like 200 some hours already. I'm like, wow. All right. And we have another one down in Galveston, Texas, that they just keep it running 24 hours a day pretty much. So I think your point of set it and forget it, that's exactly right. We our user interface is always designed to click the button, leave it on in the background, and continue doing what you're doing. But to wrap that up, we also do offer some extended warranty packages as well. So you can get that pushed out, whether you're cognizant of your hours or your annual yearly ownership.
And on the ride side warranty, we've got a 2 years parts warranty for systems. So fairly simple on our side.
Awesome. And are there any kind of cool down periods for the traditional Seakeeper? Like, if you keep it running for so long, you should cool it down for so long, or anything like that?
Yeah. So there's been changes throughout the years of cooling systems. Again, just figuring out what exactly is the best case scenario for recreational boat owners. And I think we all know if you can make it as simple as possible, that's probably the best case scenario. So the spool down procedure is very easy. Press the power button and you forget about it. It's literally that easy. As soon as you press the power button, you can put your boat on the lift. You can put it on a trailer. You can get it hauled out. So going back to that vacuum sealed component there, because there is no air resistance, that flywheel will spin, depending on the unit, for 4 to 7 hours, right, uninterrupted. If you were to just turn the power off and forget everything, it'll coast for a while. The good news about that is there's nothing you need to do during that time period. Like I said, you could put it right on a trailer and get it hauled out.
That's awesome. And you guys heard it. If it's good enough for these harbor pilots and Department of Defense, it's good enough for your boat. If you're a weekend boater or a daily boater or a charter boat, like your boat's not going through anything like these boats are and running nonstop. Like that's incredible to hear. And you guys have a great track record. To kind of change it up, I know you guys are fishermen out of Charleston, where we are as well. If you could have any boat, what kind of boat would you guys have? Of course, it would probably have both SeaKeeper and SeaKeeper
Yeah,
Ride on it.
yeah,
But what kind of boat would you choose? I don't want to say what's your favorite because I'm not trying to get you
yeah,
to
yeah,
pick
yeah.
between makers, but just your overall favorite one for you to own if you could have anything. What would it be?
I'm gonna let Tyler go here. Then I'm gonna judge his response.
Man,
You look
that's a
like a
tough.
flats boat guy.
I mean, I do have a flats boat, so we've gotten into that game a little bit too. But offshore wise, there's a lot of good options. I'm I love so many different brands out there. But if I was gonna pick one off of Charleston, based on using the Contender as much as we have, I have become a pretty big fan of Contender, but I think I would probably upsize it to that 39 Contender. We've done a few of those. We've put 750 quad system, SeaKeeper ride systems on some of those 39 Contenders that I've been fortunate enough to ride on, and the boat eats. It's something that's fast. I mean, you pair it with trip quad engine configurations. It's fast, fuel efficient, gets you where you need to go, but it's not something where it's too much that like you can't manage with one or two of your buddies. You know,
I was on a 39 Contender with my friend Frank. He's going to be on here soon. And his boat did like 70 miles an hour. It was insane. That thing flies, man.
Oh yeah.
when you can
How
cruise
about
at
you,
50
Tyler?
miles
If you
an
could have
hour,
anything, what would you pick?
yeah,
I'm gonna probably open a can of worms and shake it up here, but I've always grown up around twin screw diesel express and sportfish boats, and I grew up in New Jersey, fished out of
That's where I
there.
fished out of Barnegat Inlet for the past like 10 years.
Is that right? Yeah, yeah.
Where were
And
you
then
out of?
yeah, I was at Point Pleasant area, Barnegat, Ocean
Okay.
City. Yep, yep. Then my parents moved down to Ocean City, Maryland, when I was in college. So grew fished the rest of my childhood out of Sunset, a marina there in Ocean City, and I've just always been around. That the last boat I ran was a 35 Carolina Classic with some Cummins in it, and I'm a firm believer that those props and that diesel engine noise they raise billfish, and I would have to go with I don't have a ton of crew around here, so something in the low 40s range, express style, I think I also like to have a microwave too. I like hot lunch and
Oh, yeah. You guys are cheap dates. I'd go for like a 65 Spencer any day of the week. I don't care if I have the crew. I'll find them.
hey,
All you
hey,
gotta do is put a post out on the internet. You'll have everyone down at the dock. You'll have too many people.
that's
You'll
true.
sink
That's
that boat
true.
with fishermen.
you got a
That's
crew and everybody. I'm with you 100%. You
Yeah,
can't
you
beat
guys can rough it out there in your center
yeah.
console
that's what I
and
always.
small boats. Like I'll be out there living it up in something big.
My Tempur-Pedic mattress, right there. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I was on a 90 Viking up in Nantucket 2 years ago, and I was like, okay, this might be too big for fishing, but not too big for me. I could fish it. Like, if anything, it could be a couple feet longer.
Yeah, I can make use of all the room. That's for sure.
There's a reason boat
So,
owners just keep going up, right?
exactly. I mean, every time I get on a boat, I'm like, if only this thing was 10 feet longer, it'd be even better. So, you guys are fishermen out of Charleston. What's your favorite kind of fish to target? What do you guys like to go after?
Man, oh gosh, there's a lot of possible options for this answer here out of Charleston. We've got a wide variety of species that we get to go after. On a
Don't
daily
worry, the
basis.
fish aren't buying SeaKeeper rides. You can
Yeah,
choose a
I'm gonna,
You can
I'm
pick
gonna,
and choose a favorite here.
um, I don't have a much experience doing it, but Tyler was gracious enough to put me on a blue marlin recently, and we hooked up on two blues in a day, and I can't stop thinking about it. So I'm fully addicted in the marlin fishing game, and I'm going with blue marlin all day, every day.
Now you're speaking our language. I like it. How
Yeah,
about you, Tyler? Are you a
yeah,
blue
man. I'm gonna
marlin
have to
guy too? If you
piggyback.
could pick anything,
I'm gonna have to piggyback to Blue Marlin, but I will say, moving down here and being exposed to a new fishery, more or less. I mean, wahoo fishing's been a lot of fun too. It's just a whole new type of fishing for me. We're fishing the planers and live bait and all that stuff. It's been fun. We put some decent wahoo on the deck, and I mean they're phenomenal eating fish. So, but there's nothing like a 50 on a hot blue. I will say that.
yeah. I moved down here as well from up north, and I love wahoo fishing. Same thing. Not really a thing up there. You'll catch them occasionally, but I'd still have to go with like a big eye, man. Big eyes and yellow fins. Like that fishery's just unmatched. Like
Yeah.
you can just sink the boat in tuna up north in the late summer, early summers. No longer can you do it in the early spring because only bluefins, and Noah put a hit to that one. But they really that's a fishery that I miss, but, wahoo and marlin down here are awesome. Lately, we've been doing a lot of, like, deep drop swordfish, and I absolutely love that. Everyone's like, "This is the most boring thing ever," until they bite.
Till they
And
bite.
then
Yeah.
once they bite, it's gonna be the most depressing thing ever once you lose one.
Yeah, I know. I know. We need to get with you on that one. It's something that Tyler and I have been talking about for a while now, and we definitely want to target some swords for sure.
I haven't done it out of Charleston, but it's been on the bucket list for quite some time. We just got to find the time to go out and do it.
Let us know. We're game anytime, man. Have LP, will travel.
Hey, we got 0 degree rod holder swivel. We will travel with you. So
But yeah, our magic tail swordfish rod is ready to go.
yeah, they look
Um,
sweet. Like
We get
awesome.
our baits flown in and stuff, so we use eels for everything for deep drop down here, just because they're so sturdy. Like I got tired of dropping squids. You'll get spinners. You have ones where like you're pulling up just an empty hook and you're just fishing on credit. Nothing's worse than sitting there for hours looking at the rod. You're like, I'm not getting hit. Lift it up and it's an empty hook, and you're just like, oh
Drive me
no. And like
crazy.
then after getting like an LP and stuff like that, it's so much quicker because like okay, now we could check it every like hour or so. But like when we were hand cranking them, it's like that sucker's staying down there till it gets bitter. We're going home.
Yeah, yeah. Until it loses rock paper scissors. Yeah,
Oh yeah, but once you lose a big one, man, oh you're gonna cry. It's so sad.
I know it.
We
We
lost like a 500 pounder at the boat, like up in New Jersey one night, and it was so sad. It was like after like a 4 hour fight. The only thing that saved it was like a 300 pounder coming in the boat afterwards. But I mean, the whole time we were fighting that smaller one, we are just like, oh my gosh,
I know.
like pulled the hook right at the
Heartbreaking.
surface.
Nothing breaks
Yeah.
your heart like a fish. Tell me
Oh,
about
man.
it.
Yeah, like I have nightmares over it. My wife's like, "What's going on? Is it PTSD?" It's like, "Yeah, but not over war. It's the fish."
I saw the swordfish in my dreams.
It
Like,
keeps you coming back
no.
to it. Every time. It's like one of those things you ride it in and you're like, I might hang this stuff up for good. And then you get back to the dock and you're like, I can't wait to go again.
I swear, if it was 100 pounds bigger, I'd need therapy.
Tyler and I were
Yeah.
just, when did we go, Todd? Sunday?
Yeah, we're
We
out.
were doing a little cobia fishing and went out to Comanche and just had a pretty chill day. And we brought some live bait with us and created quite the scene behind us. We hooked into a couple APs and real nice APs. So that was my first time actually catching a sizable AP and keeping it and eating it. So it was good. It was fun.
These guys got some
Yeah,
really big
man.
ones a couple trips ago as well. Like probably around like 20, 25 pounders. They were really big
Beautiful
and
fish, man.
Yeah,
like I mean they were just on them. Like they had 5 or 6 to the boat at a time. Like
yeah, yeah.
it was just nuts.
We had
You
Kobe
never know
on
what
the
the ocean
boat.
brings in.
Then the sharks come in, dude, and it's
Oh,
just
tell
you
me
got to
about
move
it.
to another spot. It's like, dude, we were just catching APs. Like it's.
Yeah,
And then the sharks followed you to the other spot and you're like, "Oh
Oh man.
no."
yeah, I know, I know. We have a
The
trolling
shark
motor on
problem
that.
around the South has to get addressed. Like, I mean, we talk about this every episode. Like, it's like something has to happen. We need Gordon Ramsay or some professional cook to come down here. We'll get you as much shark meat as you need to practice with. Make something good and edible with it. Let's teach these restaurants. Let's make a sustainable fishery for them so we can deal with this problem because
It's good
50% of our fish get sharked.
if you prepare it right. It's very good.
Absolutely. It's just getting the general public on board. And I think by having like a professional chef do it and then introduce it to restaurants is the way to go because then it makes a market for it. Because like just having a couple guys like us and you guys like keeping them here and there isn't going to put a dent in the population. But really in like the early 2000s, they really put a hamper on shark fishing and demonizing it. And I know like we're talking about the opposite of conservation right now, but like they really need to do something to conserve these other fish and ultimately to continue the sport of fishing because the fish like we're losing 50% of fish coming up to the boat just due to these sharks all over the reefs and it starts at 10 miles out and goes all the way like
And
we're
we're
getting sharked
talking
on wahoos and marlin and all kinds of stuff.
red snapper, grouper, all these fish that are extremely regulated. You're trying to bring up to the boat, and they're just getting sharked, killed just like that. And
Yeah,
it's sad to see.
Yeah.
Very.
yeah,
Doesn't matter
for
where you are,
sure.
though. I mean, that down in I do a fair amount of fishing in the Keys. Same issue all the way up to I remember in the Northeast. You know, you're out in the canyons, and um, it got me thinking. I was thinking about chunking for yellowfin out in the canyons. It's some of the most fun fishing I've done in a very long time. But yeah, even out there, I mean, you just can't escape them.
Yeah, probably the best chunker in the Northeast Canyons is John Azzato. Shout out to No Limits.
Yep,
Book your trips with him. That guy is incredible.
so fun, such a fun
Slayer
fishery.
of fish, man.
Yeah,
Chunking for tuna is unmatched. Like it's just so much fun. There's so much harder to fight when you're not trolling and you're on lighter gear.
yep,
And
yep.
like people have never done it, just have no idea. Like catching like some of those upper 60s to 90-pound yellow fins towards the end of the summer is just crazy. You're getting an hour fight on these fish on like a speedmaster or something like that, and you're just like, oh my gosh.
It's so fun. It's so fun.
I would take it over trolling any day of the week.
Yeah, me too. You
But I
guys,
do love
you
some
all
trolling.
fish? You all fish the Mahi series?
Yes, so we fished the Mahi series. We had a lot of crappy weather. Both
Oh,
days that we declared weatherman was dead wrong.
every
Dead
trip,
wrong. It was
every trip.
horrible. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, it was like, "Oh, it'll be bright and sunny," and, like, thunderstorms and dark. It looks like we're out there at midnight. It's middle of the day. Like, bring your rain gear.
They
Sounds
actually.
like you and I fish the same days.
But, yeah, I always joke around. I could start a service telling people what days we're gonna fish just so they know they can work those days. Like, you don't wanna fish the days I'm going out there.
Yeah.
Like, all of our videos is like, "Man, this is terrible weather." Like, the fish look cool at the dock. It doesn't look cool when we're getting them.
Oh man, yeah, it was brutal. It was brutal.
We decided if it's saying it's 9 seconds, then we can't go because it's got to be 5 or less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Every
only way.
time.
Yeah, exactly. Like we used AI to make a song just for our trips called "If It's Blowing, We're Going."
It was
Like we
bad.
just count on the weatherman being wrong. If he says it's going to be nice, we're not going. He says it's going to be bad, we're going. And it's bad anyways.
Exactly.
That's the truth. Yeah, we had a
Yeah,
decent day one. We ran across what was it? Just like a pole or some sort of junk out there blowing
We
around.
went straight to the ledge and wasn't seeing anything. So we were like, all right, we got to make a move. So me and Tyler hopped up and we making a run down south. And about 5 miles into it, came across a big old floating log and got really lucky. And we wore him out pretty good on that. So I had a decent day one.
our problem is we always go out there and we're like, okay, like we're doing this. And then we're like, well, like we caught a million of these before. Like, let's go to where like our only opportunity is going to be like a monster or
Big.
nothing
Yeah.
because none of us care about coming back with nothing. I'd rather come back with nothing than a bunch of 10-pounders.
Yeah.
So like we just roll the dice. We're coming back heroes or zeros every time.
Tournament
So
fishing for you right there.
we'll be like, we're running 40 miles. 90 miles later, we're like, we're out past the Charleston lump. There's not a boat in sight. like like we were out there like fishing for mahi, and we had lines out. We're like, man, there's a lot of weeds here. You know where there's probably not a lot of weeds? Out past the Charleston lump on the other side of the Gulf Stream. And there's probably yellowfin tuna. Like, we're running out there, like reel them back in. And then it's like, well, while we're out there, we might as well also go for swordfish.
Yeah, yeah.
And like it's just those kind of things. It's like, well, the LP is on the boat.
Yeah.
Like, we might as well.
It's already here, right?
That's our biggest problem is we take too much gear, that we have too many options.
Yeah.
And then it's like, this isn't working. ADHD mode. Let's go bottom fish. Let's go catch something quick. Like, we're going to do it quick. We're just going to get a swordfish quick, and then we're going to go fish the rest of this stuff.
Get the
And it's
morale
never-
up, and we'll go figure out the mahi.
Yeah. And it's never quick. It's like, like we hooked into something and fought it for 4 hours, and now we're exhausted and don't feel like trolling. Stuff like that. Every time.
Same with us. We brought the marlin plugs, and I think we got a little bored. I think Tyler and I were both on the same page. We're like, man, second day it was getting slow. It's like, let's go marlin fishing, and hopefully big bull piles on one of these 9-inch plugs or something. Who cares? Let's go.
I don't think I've been on a trip this year that we didn't go past the Charleston lump. Like every single trip. And like for you guys listening that may not know, that's like 90 miles offshore. Like the Edisto Banks is like 70. Like we're way out there.
That is a trek.
Yeah, and it's just because like, hey, we hold a lot of gas. We have pretty efficient boat. We can do it. Why not?
What do you guys run again?
So right now we're running in a Robalo, so we can get out there pretty quick. We cruise at like 30 knots, and then on the way home, usually we have enough fuel to cruise like around like I'd say like
18,
38
22.
knots.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, we just try to keep her calm going out there, so we have fuel to troll, and they can really burn it coming in. But yeah, it's that's our fatal flaw, is just going out there and being like, yeah, we're gonna run even further. Like we even had a Roths report the last time, and we decided we're like, nah, like we know where they are. And then we got out there, and it was rough as heck, man. Like it was so bad, and it was like, we better turn around. And then it was like a 5-hour run back in. It was like,
yeah. It had to have been one of those same days. I think, what was the second day we fished, Tyler? What day of the week was that? It was like a Sunday, I want to say.
So it was a Sunday.
Yeah.
But we did the same thing, pulled Ross report. We fished around it where we were supposed to fish, where they were supposed to be fished. And we were like, we know better than Ross report. Let's go somewhere else.
Exactly. You do one pass through it, you're like, the Ross report was wrong. Like, I'm not doing this. And then you're like, I know exactly where they are. 3 days ago, I seen that there was there's this spot. It's not showing on the SST chart right now, but I know it's still there. They're just wrong on the SST. And then I run out there, and it's like, what do you mean there's not a 4-degree temp mark here? Like 3 days ago, it's right here.
Yeah, what do you mean that wasn't cloud cover?
You're looking through like Facebook Messenger. You're like, on Monday, it was right here.
Yeah, the weather turned so bad that one day I texted back to shore through the inReach. I'm like, did we miss something? Did something change in the last 6 hours? Because like it's now 5 to 6 at like 5. What is going on?
2 and 9.
Dude, we were the only boat to declare one day, and it was so rough that the Mahi Mahi tournament declared us safe at the dock. At the end of the day. They were like, the Bonita made it home safe today. It's like, they didn't do that for anyone else. I didn't know whether to be happy or sad.
These guys are crazy.
Like, if it was like, oh man, like giving me street cred or taking it away. It's a fine line.
That's
like
funny.
These guys are brave or dumb. Maybe both.
I think
I don't
do
know.
remember seeing that, actually. That's funny.
They're like the only boat to declare. The day before, the waves looked fine. Like, it didn't look too terrible. No one else wanted to declare. We went out anyways. Son of a gun, man. As soon as we're back at the dock, they made it home safe.
Y'all gonna fish that hook cobia cup?
Probably not. We don't do a lot of cobia. I mean, we go out and get them, but it's not something that we like try to target competitively or anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I mean, probably maybe this fall we'll get into some kingfish stuff, but as far as for the rest of the year out of Charleston specifically, probably not. We'll probably head up north for some of those tournaments on some other boats though.
Sweet. Awesome.
Are
Yeah,
you guys doing any of the other tournaments in the area?
that's what we're throwing the idea around of jumping in the Cobia Cup and maybe getting lucky on something, and then we're gonna fish the Hooked on Miracles, a charity kingfish tournament out of Ripley. Um, but I think that's probably about it. I'm gonna jump up to White Marlin and Mid Atlantic, fish up there for those tournaments, and then Tyler's. What, you're in Big Rock right now?
Yeah, I'm at Big Rock right now. I just got up here today, so I'm here for the next few days.
That's awesome. Well, if you see the guys from MJ's, tell them we said what's up.
We'll do for sure.
And same with the White Marlin Open, man. You'll see them at the scales every year. Those
They're an
guys are slamming it.
awesome tuna boat there. Those guys know how to tuna fish.
Shout out to Dante and Mike Yako. Dante's the guy from Magic Tail, actually, and Joe Shoot Lures. Incredible fishermen. Those guys just cleaned up down in the Bahamas. They did really well, and now I'm assuming they're going to do pretty well out of the Big Rock and also the White Marlin, Mid Atlantic, all the
Yeah,
other ones that they do. Those guys are incredible.
yeah, they can fish for sure.
Beautiful boat. I do want to give a shout out to Lance at Fish Flags USA. They make beautiful fish flags. They even made one for Troy with the skunk on it.
Yep.
So
Yeah, one of
makes a
those
great
too.
gift if you have a friend that can't fish, or if you want to bust his butt. That is the perfect flag for it. They'll even put his name and boat name on them. But they have realistic. They have the regular old traditional flags. These flags are incredible. They're really good quality. They last a long time. Highly recommend. Before we wrap this thing up, do you guys have any other information on Seakeeper or Seakeeper Ride that you think is important for the listeners? Do you guys do a lot of these on freshwater boats? What's new and up and coming? If you can talk about anything like that with Seakeeper, can you put them on bass boats? What's all the other stuff? We want to know everything we can.
Yeah, I'll kind of just full circle, kind of wrap up and answer a couple of those questions. Um, yeah, but please reach out to me if it's not a new boat. You can reach out to me about a retrofit. We're a pretty small, tight company sales team here. I'll be sure to get you in contact with the right person. If you're looking for a demo in the area, in the Charleston area, we can certainly make that happen as well. We can make a demo happen anywhere. We got full customer boats and demo boats and Seakeeper boats everywhere. So yeah, don't be shy. Reach out. And we'll figure something out there. New and upcoming stuff. I would say really the our mission is always more stabilization, more gyroscopic torque in a smaller package, right? So I would say a majority of our R&D and engineering efforts go to making those units more compact and making them include more gyroscopic torque, right? So you'll see our new product, our Seakeeper 4, 4.5, our Seakeeper 10, and then those all are complete redesigned ground up units. And if you compare the specs to output torque and footprint compared to a legacy unit like a Seakeeper 3 to a Seakeeper 4, you'll see what I'm talking about. We try and reduce the volume but increase performance. Other than that, freshwater boats, yeah, of course, we do a fair amount on the Great Lakes. It was something that was never in my ballpark really growing up on the East Coast. I'd never spent time out there, and I was kind of, lack of a better word, ignorant to how serious it gets out there. I went out there my first time with Seakeeper, and the wind switched immediately, and the next thing I know, we were in like 4 foot swells, all wind driven, so super tight swells. Yeah, I'd say Great Lakes are a huge core market for us. But yeah, other than that, yeah, want to thank you guys for having me on, and yeah, having us on and letting me speak. It's awesome.
And how about you, Tyler? Can the Seakeeper Ride go on these bass boats? Are there any speed restrictions? We know some of these bass boats are approaching 90, 100 miles an hour. Do you guys have any kind of things that can be used on there? Anything that maybe in the future can be used on there?
Yeah, to my knowledge, as of right now, we do not have any bass boats in the field. Sadly, I'm a bass boat guy at heart. I grew up bass fishing, so I'm there. I grew up on near Lake Murray, so I can attest to the freshwater market. We're not on bass boats as of yet. Not to say we can't be though. We definitely can be, as long as we have space on the transom. If not, we can make modifications to most of the time make it happen. I'm not going to say every single boat we can, but most of the times we can make it happen. So if anybody
You
would like
guys
to
heard
more
it. That
bass
wasn't
boat,
a no. If you got a bass boat that's fast, reach out to Tyler. We want to see it happen. We want to see some videos. We'll videotape you with it. Doesn't
could be,
matter. Let's
could be.
make it happen. Someone
I'd
with one
like
of
to make it
those
happen.
80, 90 mile an hour bass boats.
We can
Let's
get in
do
touch with
this.
engineering on that, and we'll see what we can do. But it's never a no, so we'll see there. But freshwater market, it's definitely there. I mean, I know how rough some of these lakes can get. Lake Murray, a lot of these lakes around here are big open bodies of water that can get rough. And SeaKeeper Gyro, SeaKeeper Ride can definitely be beneficial there as well, not just on the coast. So, but as for things coming up new, I mean, we just launched our new systems, including the 900, 1050, 1125, 1275, and 1500. So, I mean, as of right now, we're up to about that 55-foot range. We did a test recently. Tyler was there to see it too on a 53 HCB. I was like kind of some prototype testing before we released it, but we saw phenomenal results. So, those 4-foot, 6-foot days at 6 seconds with those bigger boats, I mean, I think it can grow and expand those fishing days greatly, and make it more comfortable and a lot more safe as well.
Are there any
So,
boat manufacturers that you guys have your eye on that maybe aren't partnered with you that you're like, hey, you're next. Let's do this.
I mean, we want to be on the back of every single transom. I mean, that is our end goal, is to be on every single transom, be the only vessel attitude control system on the market. That's our goal. So, of course, everybody's a target. But as for the sport fish world, we're breaking into that. We'll see what happens there. There's lot to be had there. But we've got lots of new OEMs, including Yellowfin, Tidewater, Sportsman. We've got a bunch. We've got, I think it's over 150 standard models now. So we are growing rapidly, and looking forward to keep on growing.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a good point to bring up there, Nathan. If you navigate to our website, you go to how to buy. Whether you're looking for a refit or a new OEM boat, you can go on our website and you'll see every single model that's in production, and which model it has SeaKeeper option, whether it's ride and or gyro, both one or the other. So you can really narrow it down by size range. If you're in the market for a new boat that is 30 to 35 foot, list every single OEM that it's an option from the factory. And then we also have a refit database. So if you have a boat out there and you're unsure, you pop over there, put your boat in, and a lot of them are accompanied with performance sea trial reports, installation pictures. We keep a pretty solid database, and we also do have a lead intake form on our website. No pressure, fill it out. Hey, interested to learn some more? Here's where I'm located. Here's my boat, and we can certainly start the conversation.
And if your boat's not on that refit list, don't be scared to reach out. Fill out that form, reach out to us. There's always things that can be made happen to install SeaKeeper Ride system on a boat.
And tell them Tyler and Tyler sent you.
Tyler and Tyler, you got it.
So I know some of our viewers are gonna have to go back to their significant other and might be trying to convince them right now. I know this stability aspect brings safety. I'm wondering, does it help seasickness at all?
Certainly, yeah, absolutely. I think that's something we're pretty proud of as a company. Is the testimonials from people saying, "Hey, I'd love to be in on the water, but I got seasick, and now this kind of opened up that opportunity for me to get out there with my family, or get out there with my husband, or whatever the case may be." It certainly does improve that, and it's funny enough to say I grew up without one, obviously fishing, most of my life, and I start fishing on SeaKeeper boats and all these gyros here and there, connections I've made, and then I get on a boat without one. I'm like, man, I forget what my sea legs feel like. To be honest with you,
You're like, my back's kind of hurting
yeah,
today.
yeah, like this kind of sucks. Not gonna lie, but yeah, it definitely does improve that fatigue, that seasickness feeling. We call it the wife keeper for a reason, So
Be careful using that one, guys. It's a double-edged sword. If you like fishing without your wife, I highly suggest not using that line. If you want to fish with her more or it allow you to get offshore more, go with it. Because the last thing you want to do is put a damper on fishing days by having an extra anchor on board, if that's your situation. A lot of
Yeah, give
so
me a call. We can pull an easy plug or something, make an error code, an alarm code, make it non-functional for the day if need be.
well, thank you guys so much for coming on. It was really a pleasure talking to you guys and hearing all about SeaKeeper. I just want to thank our listeners and let you guys know that reach out to these guys. Tyler and Tyler know so much about these systems. I'm sure there's so much that we didn't cover. If you have questions, these guys are absolutely great. They'll answer all of them. If you happen to have a boat, you need one of these things. If you own a boat dealership, you need to get in touch with these guys, whether it's a new or used boat dealership. Reach out to these guys. You can put these things on everything and it will be a much better ride for your clients. If you don't have a boat yet, look for a boat that has a SeaKeeper. It will be great. They are excellent rides, absolutely excellent to be out there with. Limited maintenance. You pretty much shouldn't even be doing it without one these days, especially for how affordable and reasonable they are for install costs. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to our podcast. It helps us a lot. We do an episode a week. We have an interesting guest every week. Maybe you don't find them as interesting as us, but the good thing is the next week we'll have someone else and maybe you'll like them more. But we appreciate you. We appreciate all you guys along the coast. We appreciate you guys in Middle America, as well as all of our overseas listeners. We were very surprised to find that we have a growing audience overseas. And shout out to you guys in Australia. And we look forward to having some of you guys on here soon. Thank you again, Tyler and Tyler. It's been a pleasure. I can't wait to talk to you guys more. You guys are local. Next time you're back in the area, reach out to me. I got a bunch of Magic Tail outfitter tackle for you. You guys can have some and outfit your boat. Thank you again for coming on. Thank you, listeners. Please make sure to reach out to these guys. If you don't mind, just give your emails, your names, and your phone numbers, and which product they can reach out to you for, and we'll close this out.
Cool. Yeah, Tyler Mosner. Again, on the SeaKeeper gyro side, that's TMOSNER at SeaKeeper.com, 240-808-5955.
I'm the other Tyler Causey. My email is tcausey at seakeeper.com, TCAUSEY, seakeeper.com. My number is 240-606-1754. I'm on the SeaKeeper Ride side, on the aftermarket refit side. So if you have any questions there, feel free to give me a shout. And thank you very much, Nathan, for having us on. Look forward to talking to you down back in Charleston, and tight lines.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming on. Once again, it's 8:30 at night. These guys worked all day. They're still in their SeaKeeper outfits. They're still making time to come on here because they love you guys. They want you guys to have the best stuff in the industry and to hear it right from them. So it's really important if you are in the market for this stuff, please reach out to these guys. They're great dudes. They're easy to get a hold of. They have all the answers that you need. And if they don't have the answer to something, they'll find out the answer for it. If you need an excuse to buy one of these, they can also help you with that. If they can't, reach out to me. I'll give you all the excuses you need to buy this stuff. I'm an expert at finding excuses to buy fishing and boating gear. And we're happy to help. Thank you again. Thank you, SeaKeeper, for allowing these gentlemen to come on here. We appreciate it and look forward to being on more boats with SeaKeeper. You guys are taking over the market. It's clear you guys are the best in the industry and second to none, and make an excellent product. I've had nothing but great success on boats that have had it, and I look forward to as well. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you, Nathan and Troy.
Thank you, guys.
Good one.